Hey, how's everybody doing? I am Tomlin's Nyback. This is 365 days towards racial change. How you doing? I'm glad you're back with us with our 280th episode of Racial Change. Going through trying to wrap up Uncle Tom's Cabin. We're going to get to other uh, current events, issues with black folks, but Uncle Tom's Cabin is just it's a phenomenal piece of work, illustrates, touches, I think it touches on every point pertaining to slave life and even how slave life, how the power group, essentially white folks, how their power and control, all that, those seminal moments in America's history, mid 1500s, roughly on into the present, 2019, how some of the systemic issues that prevail today started way back then. We're privileged to have Harriet Beecher Stowe give us this incredible work. Her work would be like if we were holding court on these issues seriously. Her work, we'd introduce her work as evidence. I would, and I would argue that this is her testimony, her written testimony is accurate and should be part of the public record. It's not because the power group is a little funny about being exposed for the way it exploited a whole lot of people when it broke the chains from the monarchs and potentates up from across the pond on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Had war, violent, got away, and then turned around and did the same thing to the black people in America. Wouldn't have been so bad if it had been temporary, if um, you know, forget the word reparations. That word they just throw that banter that around once in a while. Ain't serious about ever doing anything like that. But like saying, you know what, group, you built the nation. We took your free labor from your people. Just have this. No bureaucracy, debates, legislations, amendments. Just black people have this. Do your best. We're going to support you to the nth degree so that you can rise and become competitive with us. Matter of fact, this will blow your mind to hear the white group or the power group say this. Matter of fact, we're going to do our best to make you better than us. That'd be the clincher for me. How are black folks doing? I've been at it for 280 days, and you know, we got 140 hours of me talking. Which, if you know me in my private life, I'm an introvert, and I'm a bit of an isolationist hermit, and I'm cool with entertaining myself. But black folks, people, are disadvantaged. You know, um, the skin color is the covering over issues of how we judge and disadvantage and discriminate and stuff like that. As it manifests and becomes a phenomenon in society, we see the stratification and the delineations across or and around skin color. Very sad. And skin color that's such a weak determinant. Like you could, if you're going to jam a people up, it wouldn't be on skin color. I would, if I was that evil, it would be about performance, intellect, uh, I don't know, not born as skin color. Because check it out, I was listening, I watch a lot of CNN now, and some of the argument of the framers of the Constitution and all that debate and whatnot, they say, having, following leadership through birthright is insane. That boy or girl born into the family automatically gets all this power and has, enslaves me and subjects me, which is another hypocritical point for the framers of the Constitution because they turned around and did the same thing to people, right? They didn't just take the first, second generation of slaves, right, on the outside. These states and these slave owners said, no, your birthright is slavery, right? Our birthright is slave ownership, right? Oh boy. But anyway, black folks need to educate themselves, motivate themselves, understand. Took me, I'm coming up on another birthday. I'm over 50 years old. And, I hope black people get it together quicker. I left a workspace a little while ago, and like, I was used, abused, and stuff, and I'm just learning, like, if a situation isn't lifting me up, isn't benefiting me, you know, I need to leave. I need to get out of that. You know, I wasn't given that skill of recognizing when I'm being used, and I look back at some of my work history and how, you know, my white counterparts, they got the benefits, they got compensated, right? And when I'm introduced to these new levels of responsibility and stuff like that, I'm not even, I'm thinking that they're going to do right by me. And that's just not the case. So now I know, like, hey, you got to compensate me properly if I'm performing for you, or I'm leaving. I've left in a rush and a huff and an anger and a meltdown and stuff like those days are behind me now. Fortunately, I'm getting some counseling on some anger issues and some management and some ways to attack this. Uh, but black people, do we know how to do that? Are we understanding collectively how to negotiate, how to recognize when we should be getting more, offering more on the table? I'm inspired to do this work by a man named Dr. Claude Anderson. You can find him here on YouTube, give you a website where you can check him out. I just recently saw he's gotten active. Again, this is around the holidays. I think he's doing a daily thing, the good for him. But I read 3 of his works that really capture a lot of stuff, but he's written more, of course. He's got a great resume. He's an insider on white power, and other international power and stuff like that. He's a real good guy, even though I've not met him. All right, uh, get this book. If you want to get one book, if you go to his website or get in touch with his resources, get this book first. He suggests some other stuff. I say get this one first, so this will light the fire, right? You're already kindling and you're dry and you've been hurt and racism that and discriminated that isms and stuff. So get this book, and trust me, you'll want to get other stuff. I got he's offers he's a bundle and stuff like that, which is what I got right off the bat. I love his stuff. A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power and Economic Justice. And Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America, Powernomics. You can find Dr. Anderson at powernomics.com. Behind me, you'll see the hashtag #US2 symbol. That's Black women coming together, having their community, supporting each other, having resources, and the like. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF, kind of a Black Facebook experience. If you've got a business mind, entrepreneurship, and stuff like that, plenty of places to go. I've been exposed to the Black Business School, blackbusinessschool.com. You find Dr. Boyce Watkins over there. A lot of good products and stuff. He just has a lot of subscriptions. I'm not a subscription guy. Get me with me one-on-one. I'll try to help you understand that. Let's see. Resources. Yeah, I think I covered it. We hit on it once in a while. Dr. Boyce Watkins, he's got a lot of videos on YouTube as well. But him and Dr. Anderson are very great, very close friends. It's quite a community. I'm hoping I can get my foot in the door with them, but right now I'm just kind of on the outside, doing my own thing. It's okay. I haven't missed any meals, and I'm in relatively good health. And we're kind of moving through story time, punctuating it with current events and riffing some thoughts off the top of my head and whatnot. But we are in Uncle Tom's cabin. Going to knock off some stuff, set up. That the story is we're kind of toward the end of the book. Things are winding down. Stay tuned, and we'll see how things unfold. We're in chapter 39. If you have the text, reading along. I just give summaries. In the summaries, every once in a while, you'll see a topic about racism come up in those slaves in the mid 1800s. This is before the Civil War, and we will stumble onto a topic that's just as relevant today as it was back then. So today is actually, more of a summary where Harry is setting up some interesting some things going on as we get to the end of her book here. Chapter 39, day 280. This is the Stratagem. And this is actually a good chapter. I like the chapter. It's nice. I wish I had done this on Halloween. If I had to do it all over again, I'd do this very chapter on Halloween. I may do that in the future. We'll see. The Stratagem. And, it opens up, and Harriet Beecher Stowe describes Simon Legree's big house. Now, he had the money, he had the resources to get this big plantation house, have a plantation and all of that. He's the landowner. I used to drive trucks, right? And so I went to this temp truck agencies. They got temp agencies for everything. So yeah, they have temp agencies for truck drivers. So I took this job, got a call, took this job. I mean, it's the year 2015, 2016, right? I show up to this yard, and the trucks are like from 1975. They were some broken down, poor, stuck together with glue and duct tape. So Mr. T had been through there keeping those trucks running, right? I said, okay, no problem. And I'm taking this truck load, trying to get my work done. And the rear piece of the truck falls off. You know, and that's the ownership is like they're just sucking profit. The machines and the people are just objects to increase wealth, but they don't see the potential to nurture the business, their own business community, and their trucks are falling apart. Right? I say all that because that's Legree's plantation. That's Legree's life. Everything's very brutish, not kept up. It's not beautified. Women are for sexuality and stuff. The slaves are to work in the field. They're doing a 7-day work week now, as a matter of fact. Uh, you know, he has 2 slaves who are brutes. They hate each other, but they like inflicting challenges on the working population. You know, and so his house is very unkept, dark, dusty. You know, he's got uh, uh, Cassey and Emmeline up there for sexuality and stuff like that. So if you can picture that, cobwebs, unkept, you know, a man cave, you know, probably not cluttered. I don't see it as a cluttered place, but it's a place you walk in, dark, and you know, but you don't want to spend time in there because the spirit of the place is foul. So Harriet Beecher Stowe, she starts out and she describes the attic, right? The attic is dusty and just ain't nobody been up there for years. The people who sold him the place, you know, they left their stuff and out they went. So it's a spooky place. If you want to get an idea of it, Google a show called Dark Shadows. Uh, that's that's a little uh, kind of a cleaner place, but you want to Google Dark Shadows with a guy named Frith is his last name, Frith, and that's the idea. You know, dark shadows with less stuff, darker, dustier. So the attic is just a wasteland. People don't speak of it. It's spooky. In the past, they've heard Legree abusing slaves up there, and they hear moans and screams and stuff like that. It's inactive now, but it's a lot of mystery surrounds that space. Cassie's room proper was underneath that space, and so suddenly she moves her stuff out. She to another room. She wants another room. It's a big house. She doesn't want to live under the attic because she tells Legree that she hears things up there at night. She can't sleep and stuff. And Legree he's, you know, what are you talking about, woman, and stuff like that. Um, she and Cassie goes even further because she's making this place spooky and a place that nobody approaches, even in the daylight. At noon, bright day, nobody goes up in the attic because it's mysterious. Something is, up there, maybe dragging chains. The undead may be up there. And so Cassie even she puts a bottle in the wall, that there's a hole in the wall or something outside. She positions a bottle in there so that when the wind is just right, it makes the moaning sound. You know, you've done it. You get a glass bottle and you blow across the top. Same thing you do with a flute or a panpipe or something, and it gives you that. Um, low resonance, so she's, she's I mean, she's like going all out in Halloween fashion on this attic. Legree is spooked, and Cassey leaves a book out about murders, and so he sees her reading about murders now and something in the attic. You know, the place was livable for Legree to a certain extent, but now it's spooky and evil, mysterious. He's had blonde hair curl around his hand twice in life, and because of his nature of who he is, these kind of superstitions and bad omens and stuff that touches him because he's put so much dirt and evil into the world, and he's oppressed. He has enslaved, that's his joy. He's chosen to be hardened against any kind of compassion or thing like that. So he knows he's planting seeds in the world, and one of his greatest fears is that that stuff is going to loop back, boomerang back to him someday. So he does everything in his life that he can to avoid the consequences of being so evil and base, inhuman, without compassion, and all that. But that's part of his calculus. Now there's moaning upstairs. Cassey is moved out. She hears Cassie's here, and she's reading about murders and stuff like that. And to top it off, Cassey is even a little more malleable. They're probably not sexually engaged. Emmeline is still a victim of his rape, we'll just say. And but Cassie's lately not as difficult. You know, she's she's talking about this mystery going on upstairs, and she dares him to go. And he's like, I'm not afraid to go sleep up there. I've got my pistols. And I really got a kick out of that when I read that. Yeah, you're not afraid, but you got your pistols, huh? Oh, this Cassey has set the scene, and one night she takes off with Emmeline, and she's she's she intentionally lets the slaves see her go. The alarm goes up. Legree is after her with dogs and all that, and she's got Emmeline. So it's Cassey and Emmeline out in the swamp. Now it's impossible to escape. They're in the middle of a swamp. The dogs are going to catch you. It's getting into evening and stuff like that. And the dogs. It ain't like a police dog. Like I don't know if you get the idea. If you're hunted by dogs, like the dog corrals you so that you don't leave. No, back then, if you're chased by dogs, the dogs are going to try to eat you alive if they catch you. You'd better be up in a tree or out of harm's way because they will be after you. And I don't know if you've ever seen a hound dog. It's not some little puppy dog that can smell well. Hound dogs are pretty big, right? And a dog's bite is very dangerous. I love working with dogs. I've been bitten. I've lost track of how many times I've been bitten. From the smallest to the largest, the dogs can do some damage, right? So if you're chased by dogs and the dogs catch you, they're going to leave some scars, and that's even mentioned in the text. Ah, but it's she's playing at escaping. Let's see what happens there, though. Uh, Legree responds, He's getting posses together and stuff like that. He's going to offer $5 to the person who catches them. And he's a little sinister. He's through with Cassey anyway. He says, try to get Emmeline, the young new sexual concubine slave, but it's okay to shoot Cassey, he says. You can shoot her. I'll give you some reward for shooting Cassey. You know, um, Cassey and Emmeline, somehow they circle back. They get in. Cassey has the key to get into the house, and first thing she does, she goes to Legree's private drawer, gets out, nice stack of cash and whatnot, and there's a little conversation ensues between Emmeline and Cassey. Emmeline while she's being abused and raped and stuff like that, she still has an idea of God and stuff like that, and she says, "Oh, Cassey, you're stealing." Oh, right, it's some of the way the power group and the white structure controls the slave and the slave mind. It takes and whips and rapes and murders and buys and sells and splits families apart, yet at the same time it um, educates the oppressed about God and benevolence and honesty and the Ten Commandments and all that. You've got to discern what you're believing and holding on to and how to apply that properly. Cassey, I believe, rightly steals. Well, she didn't steal, and that's the point of the conversation. Is she's saying, "Look, this guy owes me, owes all of us." And it's positioned very well in the chapter that anything gathered from the power structure, from the white power structure, is owed to black folks. Nah, we didn't steal nothing. It's ours to begin with. You took our labor, separated our families, used God to condition us. On and on, okay? We've been through talking about this for 280 days now. So Cassey, she gets that, she gets hers, you know, and, that's, you call it dowry, severance pay, whatever. It's what white folks get when relationships terminate, right? They get something. They're not just sent out into the cold world, So Cassey takes this money. She didn't steal it, you know. Let's just go leave that there. Cassey did not steal from Legree. You know, she is getting what she is owed. That's being withheld by Legree. That's the way I'm going to phrase it here on public record. All blacks are owed. They go up to the attic, and Emmeline she's blown away because the addict is ready to go. There's they've done some. There's been some obvious adjustments to the space and all that to keep light out and things because they're going to camp out up there. Cassey she's made the space spooky, unapproachable, superstitious, and all that. So she's like, I mean, what a plan! She's right in the. She's going to live in that space for a minute, maybe until the time is right or until things die down. I don't know. Of course, I do know because I read the book, but at this point, we don't know. So that they're going to be up there. She's got books. And there's food. She probably has a waste management system ready to go, and she's cool. It's a safe space that she created. Posse returns empty-handed. Legree's cursing. You know, everybody's muddy. You know, they've obviously thought that these women went way deep in the muddy swamp. So horses are in lather, dogs are besmirched. Legree's covered in mud. It's not a good, doesn't end well, you know, for that night. So let's see what happens. I'm out of time here today, and come back tomorrow. Let's see this new upsurge in activity and drama on the Legree plantation. I'm Tomlin's Nyback. That's day 280 out of the way. Thanks for spending time with us again here at 365 Days Towards Racial Change. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.